Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carolyn and in today's video we will be doing the mid-year book freakout challenge. So it's amazing to say that we are in the midpoint of 2021. It feels like we were supposed to be in 2020. Like, where did time go? What is happening? What is this concept? Like, why are we doing this? Some existential crisis questions for you, but I really feel like time passes so fastly. But on the beautiful note that the mid-year book freakout challenge actually gives me an opportunity to reflect on my year so far, to see what I have been reading, to see which characters I like, which ones I didn't like, which authors I like, which ones I didn't, which books I loved, and which ones were unfortunately disappointing. So let's just get into it. If you're curious to see the creators of this challenge, I will be linking down their videos so that you can check them out, and also I will be copy pasting the questions to the description so that you can have your own reflection about what you have been reading and what did you like and did not like. Right, so before starting with the first question, I want to say that this year has not been my best. It is a very apparent. Like, reading wise, it wasn't the greatest, especially like the first half. Like, I am not sure how the second half will go, but I am hopeful that it will be better than this, because my goal, as it was last year, is to read 52 books for a year. This is my reading challenge for Goodreads, just reading 52 books, one for each week kind of situation. And right now, I think I am 13 books behind on my reading challenge because I have read only 11 books, I suppose. So we'll be doing this challenge with 11 books, not the most rich array of selections, but I will try to work with that. And it really makes me sad that I have read only 11 books in more than 6 months. Some is approaching to be 7 months, so it's kind of sad. But let's just hope that the second half of the year will be better. And let's just start with the first question. Alright, so the first question is, what was the best book you have read so far? And for me, it will be Oathbringer Part 2 by Brandon Sanderson. I'm not sure whether I am supposed to consider this a whole book, because there are like two parts for Brandon Sanderson books in the Stormlight Archive series, but I love this book with my whole heart and more than that. So to give you a kind of synopsis about the Stormlight Archive, the Oathbringer is the third book in the Stormlight Archive series, a series that is supposed to be 10 books, so which is exciting, and it is an adult fantasy series. And Oathbringer is the third one. Rhythm of War is the fourth one that just came out in last November, and we are still counting towards other books. So the second question asks about what the best sequel you have read so far, and it has to be Brandon Sanderson's Oathbringer for me, because of the fact that I have not read any other sequels during this 6 months. But even if I read, that would probably be my option again too, because this book is amazing, as I told you before. But instead of going over the synopsis again, I just want to talk about why this was such a standout sequel for me. And in this book, things actually start to get bigger and bigger. You're actually seeing the implications of the greatest universe we have. Some other explanations of Cosmere, which is the grand work of Brandon Sanderson, and lots of his plots and books actually occur in the Cosmere. And in this book, we actually get to see lots of other characters too, especially from different perspectives. And the ending just took things to another level, so it was an amazing sequel. The third question asks, what was the best new release for you? And for me, that will be The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue. I'm sorry, I just pulled out the dust jacket. But for me, that will be The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, even though I think this came out in November or October of last year. I think we can say that this is still relatively new. And This was such a beautiful read. It is actually considered to be the master work of V. Schwab, Victoria Schwab, and it was really impactful. It really read like a magical story with like sinister sprinkles. But to give you a synopsis, in this book we have a girl named Addie, and she lives in 18th century France, and she is expected to be made a marriage with some random dude. But she doesn't want to do that. She actually wants to explore the world, um, get new experiences, and she really likes to go out of the town she lives and just see the world that is waiting for her. So, in order to escape from this marriage, one night she makes a bargain with the devil, and he answers. And but he has a condition. So Eddie will be immortal for the rest of her life until she gives up, but everyone will forget her. For example, if you're in a room with Eddie, when you go out to go grab something, and when you come back, you do not remember her, and no one can say her name or something like that until she meets a boy in a bookstore that remembers her. So the story starts out with the synopsis, and it was really beautiful. You really care about the characters, and Eddie's journey is, I think, very valuable, and I really enjoyed it. So for that reason, this is my favorite new release. So the first question asks you, what is your most anticipated release for the rest of the year? And for me, that will be Brandon Sanderson's Titanic, the third book in the Skyward series. Bear in mind that I haven't read Skyward or the third or the second book in the series, and I am so excited for the third book, even though I have never started the series. But my plan is to actually start this series until Titanic gets released in what was it? Was it November? Yeah, probably at the end of the November. So I will be just ready to have the three books in my hand, and I will be only waiting for the fourth book, the finale of the series, because this book series is expected to be four book. So I am so excited to get my hands on it. It is again a Brandon Sanderson book, but this time it is not an adult fantasy, it is a YA, young adult fantasy. In this series, we are following Spencer, whose father has actually been kind of deemed to be a traitor because of a situation that happened, and his father is playing for a kind of different um planes they have in this universe. So Spencer is determined to correct the mistakes of the past and set out to be the best pilot she can. And our story starts from there. It's again Brendan Sanderson's another incredibly beloved and acclamated series. So I'm so excited to be reading it. The fifth question is about what was your biggest disappointment. And for me, that will be How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Blake. So the sixth question asks, what was the biggest surprise for you? And for me, that will be Kiss Caution by Helen Kwang. I will be putting the cover somewhere up in there. And this book really came as a surprise to me. Normally, I do not read romance books, especially contemporary romance. I really enjoy when there is romance or like some kind of a couple situation going on in my fantasy. But even that, I just don't enjoy only romance fantasies. I need to have a bigger plot line which involves romance, and I would really enjoy that. But I read Cascaution and I really enjoyed it. So, in order to give you a synopsis, but before I do that, bear in mind that this book is very steamy, very smutty. So, if you do not prefer to read something like that, bear that in mind. But to give you a synopsis, in this book we have a woman called Stella, and she is a very good econometrician. So she's an econometric major graduate, and she works in a very good company, and she really enjoys working with data. But also on the other end, she is autistic, and she really enjoys working with numbers, knowing that everything has kind of an order, being like ordered. She really kind of likes the discipline she has, but her family and other people around her actually like pressuring her to get married, to have a life, to be with someone, go have a relationship with someone. So she thinks that maybe she needs experience. So she thinks that in order to have a good boyfriend and be better in the relationship situation, she has to first get the practice. So she calls an escort and she actually gets in a relationship with him so that he can teach him how to do some kind of relationship things. So it is kind of a funny premise if you think about it, but I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't think that I would enjoy it this much, but I really like seeing the representation of Stella and also Michael, the escort, and like their turmoils, their dilemmas, and how they actually had their own personal lives even without them. And I really enjoyed seeing the family dynamics between them and the problems they have. I really like the get to know of people that we have apart from the romance, and I think their romance was cute, steamy, but I really enjoyed it, so it came as a really big surprise for me. So the seventh question is, what is your favorite new author? And for me, that will be Stephanie Garber, the writer of Caraval. And I am not gonna talk about this book a lot, but I just want to focus on her authorship, her writing, and the reason why she is one of my favorites right now. So in Caraval, we have such a fluffy, atmospheric, and like flowery language, which some people don't enjoy, and I really get that. You really don't. Some people really don't like the descriptions or like something like she was like a midnight star. For them, it doesn't make sense, but for me, I really like those kind of metaphoric lines, and when we have those atmosphere being created by the writer in this book, so I really felt like I was in part of Caraval, so I really appreciated the writing style of her, and I really liked her ideas. So for that reason, she is one of my new favorite authors, and I cannot wait to read more of her. So the eighth question asked about your favorite, my favorite new crushes. So crushes, let me think about it. So from the things I read, the only crush I have is probably for Kaladin from Starlight Horikai, but I liked him even last year, so I'm not sure if he's a new crush for me, but I would say Kaladin probably. The reason I love is that he is kind of blaming himself for the things that happen around him and for the things he cannot control. He actually survives from like so many trauma and being in war situation and actually losing his friends, his family, not being able to protect the others that are around him, and this kind of like discussion he has with himself and saying that like he keeps on surviving why the people he wants to survive are not able to do so, and he kind of blames himself for that, but I really enjoy having him arc grow and him grow as a person, being more friendly with other people, actually being able to form a group of friends that care for him and that care for each other. So for that, Kaladin will be my new crush. So the ninth question asks you, what is your favorite new character? And for me, that will be Adilaru from The Invisible Life of Adilaru by V. Schwab. The reason I love is that she is a very remarkable character. I really liked how she kept on going even though people forgot her. She really lived a miserable life, and especially like the first year she had to go through this like bargain and she had to adapt to the situation. She actually had to be a criminal because no one remembered her. She had no money and she couldn't work because everybody keeps forgetting her. So in the face of such hardships, she actually persevered and she continued. I really like that kind of characters when they are just keen on surviving and do whatever they can to survive. And I really liked his relationship with Michael. Was it Michael? I am keeping saying Michael and I hope it's Michael. If it's no, it's not Michael. Michael was the It's Henry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Michael is the person from Kiss Question, okay? So I really enjoyed his relationship with Henry and how she wrapped up the bargain and what happened in the end with the devil. So I really enjoyed her story, her arc, and seeing her grow through the pages. Alright, the last question asks about the books that made me cry. And we have all the books in the Stormlight Archive series. I am still reading Rhythm of Fur, so I cannot say that I completed this. But even the good portion I have read, it made me cry. In Oathbringer, I cried. In every book of Stormlight Archive, I actually cry, so it is not a surprise. But the reason I cry is that firstly, I am very attached to the characters. They are very important for me. I really enjoyed seeing their stories and I am very connected to them and I really want the best for them. And lots of bad things happen to these characters, like lots of bad things happen to them and it's sad. But probably the most important reason these books make me cry is actually had to do with the mental health representation in these books, with each character having their own kind of struggles and on how I relate to them made me cry in some cases. So yeah, if you want to cry, read Starlight Archive by Brendan Sanderson. So the 11th question is, what was the book that made you happy? And for me, that will be Loki, Where Mischief Lies by Mackenzie Lee. I really enjoyed my reading time with this, and at the same time, while I was reading it, I was also watching the second episode of Loki, and I also have a Loki themed reading vlog if you want to check that out. But I really enjoyed this book. This book is about the young Loki we know from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and she is banished to Earth because of a mission that went wrong with Thor. So the 11th question is, what is the most beautiful book you have read so far? And for me, that has to be Caraval by Stephanie Carver. Can you just look at this slip? And when you slip that, you have the key portion of it, and you have this like one-way ticket to Caraval and the gate and the motto and the codes. It is just such a beautiful edition and I am in love with it. So the last question is, what are the books that you want to read and you need to read for the rest of the year? And for me, one of them has to be Rhythm of War by Brandon Stearns, the fourth book in their Stormlight Archive series. I really love this series. This book took me so long to read, so I actually stopped reading it and started reading other books, but I really want to finish this one. Also, I have many other books in my shelves that I needed to finish so that when I am going to my college dormitory, I can safely leave them behind. Alright everyone, this is the end of this video. Hope you like it. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment down below and mention what are the books you are so excited to read for the second half of the year. And see you soon in another video.